dive into this first one here. We got the Vikings and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts hosting Kirk Cousins in prime time, actually. So we got prime time Kirk on this one, Scotty. Do you want to start first? Do you want me to roll? I have a best bet in this one.
Then you start us off. You got a best bet. Let's go.
I do have a best bet. One of my ActionLab. And again, these are the ones that we do, our best 4 picks that we make every single week. Not necessarily part of our super contest that we have, but this is what we are going with one of our best bets of the week. And it's not a side, Scotty. It's the under. Now, I have a feeling that there's going to be a little less points here than I think are actually going to be scored. So the over-under here is set for... I actually got it at 49.5. So this it changed a little bit.
When did you get that? Like a month ago?
I got it a month ago. No, I get mine.
This game.
I targeted this game early in the week, Scotty, and I even put it on your radar on Tuesday. You know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't check the lines. I didn't even look at your number. I didn't know your number was so generous.
It was a generous number. So I got the under. So for a couple reasons. One, it's a short week when the Eagles will likely be without potentially Kenneth Gainwell, who is, think about this, the most valuable asset on the ground game, which is, something that the Eagles utilize quite a bit. People don't recognize that he led the team with 14 carries last week. He led the team 14 carries. Swift had 1. Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch. Like, there was only a couple design runs for Hurts, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. But the Eagles' defense is legit on the other side of things. I expect them to show up. You have Kirk Cousins, who hasn't exactly been elite most of the year, or most years when it comes to prime time. He had like one, I think, primetime game last year where he showed up. But typically, he gets thrown off his motions when it comes to those late night games, his routines. So I expect that trend to continue with a quality opponent, tough road environment. Eagles should dominate the possession here, and I think they can eke out a win. And I just think that this leans more so on the under, in my opinion. Now, I did think that if I did have a side on this one, I would lean Vikings. I think it's currently 7.5, but or
might be 49.5. I'm not
it might
sure.
be. I should have got it last week when it was 49.5 plus. I would have taken that in a heartbeat. Maybe I would have teased it up a little bit more.
Get another 6 points there.
But if I had a lead, it would be Vikings plus 7.5. I think that they might be able to still keep. I stayed away from it though. But Scotty, what do you think about this game here?
I mean, it's hard not to go back to last season. Both these teams got off to a nice start. They played, I think it was Monday night, and the Eagles absolutely embarrassed the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Yep. It was ugly. It was not close at any point. Part of me after the whole quarterback series, Doc, I don't know, maybe fair, maybe not. Now Kirk's ready. He's ready for the limelight. This might be like Kirk 2.0. This might be the year where he just blows up in a good way on primetime. I'm not picking it. I don't have a side in this. I don't have a strong lean either way on this one. Thursday night games are always weird. You don't fully know what to expect on a short week. Minnesota's defense is not good. Not good at all. Wasn't good last year. Not good this year. Philly's clearly got the better D here. You talked about Kenneth Gainwell, though. He was their lead back, but he was averaged like 3.9 yards a carry on 14 carries last year. It wasn't, or last week. Wasn't much. I mean, I honestly think they'll get better. Just get the ball to DeAndre Swift. Just let's see what happens. All right.
Wait, Scott.
It's like Breece Hall on Monday night. Can we stop handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook for a moment and just keep giving it to Breece Hall? Can we do that?
That was what was so confusing, is the fact that they got all these running backs and they went with the guy they already had on the roster before the season started. I was like,
Dalvin Cook is not good. To be clear, I said no one should be excited. I said before he got picked up, when he was released by the Vikings, I'm like, no one, whatever team he's going to go to, the fans are going to be disappointed in his output. I know that's off on a different team now, but like, I'm just saying, like let's see what DeAndre Swift can do. He didn't get a lot of run, obviously, last week, so we'll see. I like on a short week, I don't know. I don't know which way to lean. I'd probably agree with, especially at 49.5. It's a monstrous number. I'm just kidding. I'd probably lean that direction just because a lot of times you game plan a little less and you're not ready to go. But earlier on this season too, you're a little more fresh where like your body doesn't hurt as much and maybe you can score a little more. So we'll see. I'm just hoping for a good game, to be honest. Yeah. Obviously the Vikings had a dud in week 1. It came out kind of today that like the Bucks, that Baker claimed he knew all the defensive signals the Vikings defense was doing. And he, knowing that, he was so good, he put up 20 points in the game.
I was wondering about that, yeah.
But which is why I'm on I was on the different side before, but we'll get into that later. I'm just hoping for a good game tomorrow night. Let's have a good back and forth affair. Whether it's high scoring, low scoring, I don't really care. Let's just have a close competitive game. I don't think Philly was fortunate to get out of New England last week with a win. They looked sloppy. They didn't look like the machine they were last year in week 1. Now, we're not going to overreact to week 1. We know Philly's very talented. But in week 1, I mean, they had a pick 6. They won by 5. They had a pick 6. They had some fortunate situations. So, like, they were lucky to get out of there with a win against a New England team that most were predicting to finish last in the AFC East prior to the season. So, let's enjoy the game. Let's let Jay Jettas go off since I have him in fantasy.
By the way, I'm looking at the lines. The lines are all changing so fast based off of, like, I might need to change one of mine based off of I got a better favorable line on a couple of these. But Minnesota and Philadelphia, Minnesota's down to plus 6.5 now. Because a lot of the money, it was at 7.5 at one point. Now it's down to 7, down to 6.5. So, hey, lines going the other way. And then also a couple other bets that we have, some of your best bets and some of mine that have shifted a little bit. So we'll get to those here in a little bit. But yeah, Thursday Night Football, we'll see what ends up happening here. Let's go to the next one here. So let's go to...
Keep close in the chat said, so Scotty, what you're saying is people should believe in a skill position from Iowa State on a good team that's still on their rookie deal.
I know what you're doing there, and no. One player is not like another. All right, Breece Hall, big fan. Brock Purdy, I'm not there yet. I ain't there yet.
So we might need to get guys spaced off and get mine on just so we can have some more movement.
Am I frozen? Ooh, I didn't even look. You've been look at myself.
There it is. And he's back.
You don't have frames per second. You have seconds per frame.
It's all right. It's all right. We got his voice.
It out where I look really good in the moment it freezes.
Oh, yeah. That does not look good.
No. What happened there? What happened?
I think you were mid blink out now.
I'm going to keep my eyes open the whole time. Like
the one time you blink, it's going to stop.
Unbelievable. It's like someone's watching me through the camera and it's timing out like, click, that's a bad spot.
It's always. But we have Ravens and Bengals coming up next, which nice little AFC North battle here. Cincinnati, at least when we made this graphic, -3. Over under set at 46.5. Money line, Cincinnati is favored at -170 in this one. So both teams had, at least the Baltimore Ravens had a decent week 1 going and getting a dub. And then the Cincinnati Bengals looked absolutely flat and didn't look good at all. So now we're trying to figure out, all right, is this the bounce back week for Cincinnati Bengals? Now, currently, I wanted to look back, and this was, I think, one of the lines that changed. I think it was Cincinnati was, I think this was...
I got him at 3.5 on my best bet.
3.5 on your best bet. Now it's down to 3. So just a field goal here in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. But, Scotty, you want to fire us off on this one?
I mean, I do. I have a best bet of the week in this one as well, Chris. Well, not as well. This is my first best bet of the week, but I am not on a side in this one. Listen, I'd probably lean Baltimore for the sense that anytime these two teams play, AFC North rivalry, feel like it's gonna be a tight game. I'll always take the team that's getting points. Yep, Frozen Scotty, just keep it up, guy. This is just I don't even know why I'm on camera.
Now you look like you're in shock. You look like you're in shock.
I'm trying to figure out if it's your internet connection or the camera.
Am I constipated? What's happening?
Yes.
I wonder if it's like your internet connection or the camera. I don't even know. It's one of them.
They're both.
I'm surprised.
I think this is sabotage. I think this is sabotage from Chris. To be frank.
I'm surprised you're constipated with all the shit that comes from your mouth.
Okay, let's keep it PG here. I brought that on. That's my fault. So normally in this one in general, I would probably just take whoever's getting the points. But I also I have a rule of thumb. A lot of times, the rule of thumb with week 2, if you really want to know, is if you bet teams that are 0-1 against the spread against teams that are 1-0 every year, you'll do pretty well. Because everyone overreacts to week 1 and jumps in. So obviously we have a Bengals team that was awful in week 1. And a Ravens team that won against the Texans at home in a game where they didn't play that well. Now they lose J.K. Dobbins, their running back for the whole year, again. One of their TD drives was like 42 yards. They had a 21-yard drive that resulted in a field goal. So while they got 25 points, it really wasn't. Lamar threw for 169 after all offseason. We heard that they were just going to sling the ball around and just absolutely air it out. In his first game, he throws for 169. CJ Stroud threw for 242 in the game, to be clear. So while Baltimore got a win, I don't think they looked that good. I think the Bengals, I just don't know where the Bengals are at. Last year they started slow and it took a few weeks. It seems to be a running theme. I know Burrow obviously being out for training camp and all in preseason affects the timing, and maybe that calf's not 100% yet. I'm not worried about the Bengals long term, certainly at this point, but in the immediate run, I'm not high on them. So what I'm basically trying to say is I'm taking the under, Chris. I'm under 46.5 here. I think this number is definitely 3.5 points too high, at least.
Yeah, I think
I see like a 23-20 affair, a close game at the end. Baltimore might be missing 2 of their offensive linemen who both got hurt in week 1, so I don't know that either of these offenses is going to do great, and it's going to be a close, tight, low-scoring game in my mind. So give me the under 46.5. That's bad. AFC is definitely AFC North. Those division games are kind of grindy, and they kind of they slow down a lot. There's a lot of running the ball. There's a lot of, plus you throw in the fact that, like you mentioned, the Joe Burrow, is he really fully healthy at this point? There's no, is it weird that Joe Burrow comes into every season not healthy? He just always has some sort of ailing issue going into a season.
Yeah, he's not had a normal training camp in his life.
It's just always part of that he should always get injured in the preseason, because that's kind of how it always has been.
He got paid, though.
He got paid. All the quarterbacks that got paid didn't exactly show out last week, but I think that changes.
Anyone that got paid. I think anyone that got paid showed up.
I think it changes next week, though, or as the season goes on. But yeah, I think how healthy is he, and then what can we expect? The offensive line was getting absolutely just toyed with by Cleveland. So I'm hoping that gets a little better if you're a Cleveland fan. But outside of that, I'm with you, Scotty. If I had a lean, it's not one of my picks of the week, but if I had a lean, I would take Baltimore in the points. I liked it better when it was at 3.5, more so than 3. But I still think that 3 is an okay number, but I would love it more at 3.5. So I think that this is a close one, grindy. We'll see what happens, but I think you might be onto something with that under. Next up, we got the Packers and the Falcons, Scotty. Both. So Milwaukee's. How excited are you?
Squad.
Your squad, your boy. showing some love, literally.
Look at that swag in our graphic. Look at that swag.
Packers win next game. His hype is back.
He's hyped. He's ready to go. Spread on this one when we got this was Green Bay -1. It's been fluctuating a little bit. Current line on this one is Green Bay.
I think it might be 2. I saw it at 2 earlier today.
It dropped back down to 1.5 right now. So 1.5 minus 1.5 for the Green Bay Packers in this one. Over under set at 40.5. This one in particular is one of my best bets of the week, and I was back and forth on this one because this is a weird one, and I wanted to take advantage of the line a little bit more, and knowing that there's some injury concerns on the Green Bay Packers side, which is I was going back and forth with this one, Scotty, because you have Christian Watson banged up, Aaron Jones banged up, you have even Romeo Doubs has been kind of like lingering injuries, and he still played well. I mean, he had 2 touchdown passes despite being limited by a hamstring issue. But this team, given the fact that they were battling through last week all the injuries that they were, still managed to have a decent game, especially behind Jordan Love, even with all the deficiencies at wide receiver. I think it's one of those things where I think the Atlanta offense is a little bit better as well. And I think that they have the ability to ramp up based off of just some of the weapons that they've added in the offseason. So I think that a combination of both, and I think that Vegas is kind of undervaluing this Green Bay team, knowing that there might be some injury issues. And I think that the line is a little low for me on this one. I had the line like at least 3 points higher, at least when I was looking at some of the data that I was checking on this game. So do I think this is like a 23-20 game? Sure. I think this could be in that range, 23-21, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in that range. But I do think this barely gets over. I like Jordan Love so far. I'm kind of riding the Jordan Love train. I'm not on the big red dog. I'm definitely not on that train. And it's weird how this Green Bay Packer team has been effective this early with under a young new quarterback. So I like the coaching in Green Bay. I think that they could put some points on the board, and I think the Falcons will score some points as well. So that being said, I'm taking and leaning on I'm taking the over 40.5, knowing that this is going to be a little bit higher, knowing that the line could potentially creep up once all the actives are released and once they get, if Christian Watson ends up playing in this one, which I think he's kind of on the fence at this point, I think this number goes up a little bit more. So I'm grabbing it a little early. As far as the line on this one, I didn't really want to touch it. If I had to lean one way or another, I don't know. I might take Green Bay, but it's too close for me. I think the line is exactly where it needs to be, and I'm not messing with it.
Yeah, obviously 40.5 is a very small number. That's close to the smallest total we have all week. I think it's only beaten out by yours truly, Chris. That's at like 39. But
yes,
I'm glad I'm sitting down right now. Milwaukee, maybe you should be sitting down, and I'm not even sure we're still talking about the same thing. But Milwaukee's sitting here. Personally, I would tease this game, which is exactly what I did, Chris.
Yeah, you got a little action on this one
right now. I have action. I have this in a teaser. I got it when the Falcons Green Bay was -2. So Falcons +2. I teased them up 6 points to +8. And a line that's 40.5 to get +8 with
that's huge.
The home team. And a team that was actually, that did not help at all, Chris, was favored prior to last week's results in the Falcons. And I still think, these teams are probably pretty close, where I think the wrong team's favored in this one, and I can tease them up. Give me the Falcons in a teaser. I actually have them in a teaser and this, I like saying this out loud, I don't even feel good about, but it's another team that I'm teasing up to +8, and it's on Monday night, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, who screwed me over last week.
Going back to the well.
At home After going, what did I say? You bet teams that didn't, are 0-1 against 1-0 teams. They got
I like how your face is stuck
Cleveland coming in.
Your face is now stuck on the face of regret.
Yeah.
As you say that.
The Steelers are at home. It's Monday night. They lost week 1. They look like absolute shit. You gotta think they bounce back a little bit. I'm sure prior to week 1, they were favored in this game on the look ahead. And now they're, +2. And now I can tease it up to 8. I love that one as well, because that's not technically one in our preview rack, because we can kind of talk about it more on Sunday as well, since they're the Monday night. 2 Monday night games this week, Chris. But that is what I have combined in a teaser. So my second best bet of the week is Falcons +8, Steelers +8, and a 6-point teaser.
Hey, there it is. We're giving you the goods, guys. If you guys aren't taking notes on this stuff, I don't know what you're doing. I got the Falcons and the over, says Adolf. You know what I would tease? Scotty losing to me in fantasy football, says STG.
That took a miracle, STG. That took your defense/special team scoring an overtime touchdown on Monday Night Football to surpass me. Like, going into Monday night, I was like a 93% favorite in that game. W is W. That's true. Congrats, STG, on the win. You did get the win.
He's like, these frozen faces are just killing me. Scotty, unplug your camera and replug it. Maybe it's like one of those, like, you unplug it, replug it.
Unplug the. But on Discord, Chris, it's fine.
Yes.
Really?
On Discord, I'm moving.
Yeah.
It's only once we go out on Twitch. I'm moving on Discord. I'm not frozen on Discord.
At the same time, on OBS, anybody else is fine.
Here,
everyone else is perfectly fine.
Let me do this.
I think you're sabotaging me, Chris.
Let me do this. Hold on. Let me change this up real quick. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit, because I think.
All right.
Graceland, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. While Chris is dealing with this, I'll take his role. Who's your team? Where are you from? Welcome in to the Action Lab. We love talking about sports and getting to know everybody in the community. So throw out there where you're from and who you cheer for. Who's your team?
All right, we're gonna play around with this a little bit. We're gonna see what we can do on this.
I look good right now. I mean, those logos look sweet.
All right, let's do this.
What's happening? There's trees and sun and dice, but then fields and courts. It's the first time I've ever looked at that.
Yeah, I see poker chips.
Yeah, it's very confusing what's happening there. What's the theme of this? Games?
Oh God.
Then why the trees? Hey, Graceland.
No.
Let's go. We got a Chiefs fan in the house.
Here we go.
Let's go. My camera was here. I'd introduce you to Mr. Mahomes right behind me. What are these called? Funko Pop?
Okay, don't let Sky get back on camera. Let me take over.
I also have my Chiefs cup that I drink water from every stream.
We can do Chris and Chris again.
Give me a second. I think I have a fix.
Welcome in, Graceland. This is your exclusive access to all things Chiefs, because I rep strong for the Chiefs in the chat.
Okay, we're covering everything.
Chris, and we're gonna preview that game. I know that's in the 8 here, as it always is, but so I won't get into too much. But there's been a lot that's been going on with the Chiefs this week, Chris, that I don't know how I feel about.
I mean, you have some interesting things going on here with your boys. So, all right, so there you go, Packers and Falcons. There you have it. Oh, speaking of Scotty,
here's Mr. Mahomes.
Here
he is.
See, there we go. All right, so Scotty.
Yes.
Your boys, Chiefs, Jags, big game. Chiefs. I mean, I'll let you go on after this first, but KC's -3. This is bouncing around a little bit as well, like a half point, give or take. Total 51, and KC -155 to win this one on the money line. So Guys, if you have any questions on the betting aspect of how we go about this, just feel free to ask us and we can explain some of those numbers as well. But welcome, by the way, Grace. Welcome, Grace Lynn. Thank you for joining. Gracelyn. Appreciate you being here. And are you from Missouri? Are you living in Missouri right now?
I think she says she's from Missouri.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. All right. Are you asking for her address, Chris?
Yeah, address, social security number, you name it. I want it.
It's okay. Chris lives in Colorado. He's never even. I don't think he's ever been to Missouri.
Actually, I don't think I have.
You gotta at least go to. You just gotta go to Six Flags St. Louis.
Chris wanted to
you don't need to go to St. Louis.
If you want to send your credit card numbers, I'll take those too. But guys, I'll let Scotty talk about his Chiefs. I have a best bet in this one. Scotty couldn't pull the trigger on a best bet for this one because I knew you were itching. I was waiting when you were going to send in your best bets on this, whether or not you were going to decide to put your boys in here, and you didn't. I was surprised a little bit, Scotty.
I didn't, but I'm very confident this week. It sounds like obviously big week with the Chiefs. Outside of Mahomes, their number one offensive player, number one defensive player should be back in week 2 after missing week 1. Chris Jones agrees to the whatever that was, the same contract with some incentives tied to it. Neat, great holdout, bud. And Kelsey looked, the video footage of him in practice while he was limited technically and officially in practice today. He looks like he's good to go when he's jumping up to, when he sees Chris Jones and they're hugging it out on the practice field. It's adorable. Part of my concern, and maybe why I didn't bet this, Chris, is that may not be the only person that Travis Kelce's hugging these days, Chris.
Guys,
and I have concerns.
Guys,
I have concerns.
We all know you get distracted. It's like the Kardashian curse. Is this going to be the T Swift curse? In case you don't know, Scotty got the news that he was sharing it on our Discord. If you're not part of our Discord, join. You can get in on all these side conversations, all this breaking news.
There's a little bit of a love story.
He's got a love story. Oh, hi-oh.
And it's only rumored at this point. And I'm not even sure I fully believe it because I don't even know. Like, it doesn't seem like either person's type from what they've done in the past, but nothing's worked out in the past, so let's have some fun. Travis Kelce and the icon, the pop star, the woman who sells out every stadium 10 times over and has the most cult following maybe I've ever seen, Taylor Swift.
T-Swift.
Rumored to be hanging out, Chris.
Whatever that means. Is it like a Netflix and chill thing?
Meeting in secret. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. All right. I'm a little worried about what song's going to be written about Travis.
So far, there's not a great track record for ex-boyfriends or anybody she's dated. So
I'm trying to think of like song titles. I'm thinking like Kingdom Come or something.
Yeah.
And to be clear, that's C-O-M-E. Okay.
After dark.
I wasn't even going there.
No. Well, when I say it every time, I'm like, I should have just typed it because I really do mean C-O-M-E. Obviously.
If she does write a song about Travis, you're singing it live.
Yeah. A little nervous about all of that, but Travis is back. Chris Jones is back. And listen, everyone, when does Mahomes play his best games? Tends to be when everyone's doubting him, Chris. They lose week 1. They don't look great. Obviously, some drop issues that were referenced earlier on in this stream. Little sloppy, but they look pretty good defensively. The Jacksonville side of things, obviously they looked, it was a bit of more of a battle with Indianapolis than maybe I expected. It was tight, and then they kind of separated at the end. Calvin Ridley in his debut looked really good. That offense does have 2 offensive linemen that missed practice today. Should be a concern, both a center and a guard. So if Chris Jones is able to be like back and it sounds like he's going to play, and if he's at his level, that's certainly a concern if you're Jacksonville. It's interesting. Like Jacksonville's team doesn't seem on the same page because their defense was like interviewed, like, hey, what does this game mean to you? Obviously, this was a playoff matchup last year in the playoffs. And I think it was Allen, their defensive end, was like, this is a playoff game for us. This is a big game for us. And then the offense was interviewed, and they're like, it's just another game on the schedule. So I don't know how they're viewing it. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? I think it is a big deal to them, but maybe they just don't want to admit that publicly. This is one of the best games of the week, Chris. Jacksonville's really good.
Yeah.
They're obviously KC has to go into Jacksonville. It's not supposed to be super hot, which is probably good for KC. Although KC's training camp is in like Missouri and it's hot.
Missouri.
So
That's awesome.
I think I know what side you're on, Chris, and I agree with it. To be clear, I just did, I don't want to lose a bet and have my team start off like 0-2 somehow. All right.
Yeah, no, that's fair. By the way, this line, I got it at 3. It's up to 3.5 right now. So the Chiefs getting some steam. I thought this line would close at like 4, maybe 4.5 at the most. I think maybe it gets to 4 by this weekend. So I got it a little early. STG, by the way, real quick, for Chris, Scotty, Rec, and Chat. Are most stadiums played an artificial or natural turf?
I think artificial.
I think it's weird. Like there's a lot of stadiums that have like the hybrid, where it's like I know the Bronco Stadium is like a hybrid turf where it's like mostly it's like part artificial, part real.
I believe it's actually. It might be. Well, there are technically only 30 stadiums in the NFL. That was my confusion. Yes. I forgot. There's 30 stadiums. It's split exactly even. It's 15 and 15.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So there you go. By the way, there's a lot of people after the Aaron Rodgers injury. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to talk about that game a little bit more substantially when it comes to the Pack or the Jets. But with that injury, whether or not they want to shift completely to grass versus synthetic, it's a whole thing. So we'll dive into that
grass
one.
Is better. Grass is much better for players. Like the only reason to not have grass is it's easier to maintain. It's easier and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Well, and I mean, I prefer. I mean, grass is real grass is nice.
Listen, I agree. Grass is certainly better. I don't think that was like the main culprit in what happened on Monday night.
I don't either.
But
it was the offensive line that wasn't protecting Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Grass isn't perfect either. All I've heard from Eagles players is how much they bitched about the grass in Arizona for the Super Bowl, as if KC had the patch that was good apparently in that game. I don't know.
Yeah, you only played on the good patch, Scotty.
So grass isn't perfect because you have to maintain it and you have to have it in good shape. So while grass is certainly the better option for health and safety of players, it's not perfect. You have to have a good grass field, and some teams don't.
Yeah, you have some players that are suing the NFL, suing other teams for injuries sustained on turf fields. I think like Reggie Bush actually won a case against the Rams.
I don't know how you can sue for that and win. I don't think you should be able to win that argument.
Although I don't know if it went through, but I know
going on the field. You're making
there was
a
a Broncos player. There's a Broncos player that was recently sued. I don't know if he won or not.
That was probably that O lineman.
It was the O lineman, yeah.
Cuban, of course, the Colorado guys like grass. Hey.
That's right. You can't handle it.
Messi won't even play on artificial turf. Well, soccer's pretty much only at that level played exclusively on grass, which is maybe a testament to maybe the NFL should be that, but like it is, New York, that stadium, MetLife Stadium is like has concerts nonstop out there, events, and like I know at Coors Field, like our field crew hates like the concerts and things like that. Like it chews up your grass. It ruins your grass. So even if you have grass, like it may not be a be all end all. Obviously, if you can get one of those that like slide in, maybe that's better. Although that's what Arizona does, and it's trash. So I have no idea, Chris. I'm not an expert.
I'm not a grass expert,
There's also
but
that.
not that kind of grass expert.
There's also the first meet between Goff and Mahomes that was supposed to be in Mexico. The grass was chewed up by Shakira.
Yeah. Her hips were moving too much.
They don't lie.
You can't. They lied to us about the football game.
Yeah. All right. Back to the Chiefs. One of my best bets of the week, and Scotty's not going to disagree with it because it's now up to 3.5. But I got KC -3. I guess I just wasn't super inspired by the Jacksonville Jaguars opening game. Like, I as much as hype as they've gotten, the prince of the NFL, and he's good. Don't get me wrong. The Jags are good. Don't get me wrong. I just wasn't excited about how they came out against a rookie quarterback making his debut that didn't really have a running game. They know Jonathan Taylor in Indy. You have extra time to prepare for this matchup. You got Chris Jones coming back. You got potentially Travis Kelce coming back, who I think he should be playing potentially coming up based off of his practicing and everything else. There was like 8 drop balls, that one of which was a pick 6 in the last game, that I don't think that happens again. I think those screws are tightened up. So you add, Travis Kelce, who's almost swings this almost a full point by himself in the point spread.
Oh, close to 2. More than a point.
Let's call it 1.5, right? Not to mention Chris Jones coming back, which, that's a big addition to the defense that I think the defense played good last week, Scotty. I thought outside of some weird, the defensive touchdown and everything else, the KC defense played fairly well.
Gave up 14 points.
Like that
I'll take that every week from KC's defense.
And the defense is only getting better this week with Chris Jones coming back. So I know the Chiefs' offense should have success. If Anthony Richardson can have some success against this Jags team, guess what? I think Patrick Mahomes should have some success. I would be shocked again if this didn't close at 4 or 4.5. So I got it at 3. I think KC rolls in this one, and I got them as one of my bets of the week.
Keep close. Travis getting hurt swung the line by 4 points last week, by the way. I don't think that's true. I think it was around 6.5, and it closed at like 4.5. So
yeah, I had it at 6.5 for the best bet.
Yeah, and it closed at 4.5.
So it's swung it by 2.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Considering again the wide receivers that the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelce and Mahomes are the 2 most consistent players when healthy on this roster, and they're the most dynamic, and they put up the most points, right? Like, it's like not even close. So
I should say earlier on, Adolf had a question, which I think was correlated to my teaser being like, we should explain what a teaser is.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Go ahead, Scotty. You can.
No, in the simplest terms I can think of, a teaser is typically it's typically 6 points, and you add that to the. So let's say in my teaser that I mentioned before, Atlanta and Pittsburgh were both +2. All right, so they were both +2. It says 1 here, but in my mind, Atlanta was at +2. Green Bay -1 would mean Atlanta would be -1, and vice versa. And the spread, by the way, is basically if you take that team, if you take them at minus, you subtract that number from at the end of the game, and if they still win, you win your bet. And vice versa, you take the team on the plus side, you add that amount of points, whatever that is, at the end of the game, and if they win, you win that bet. So at +2, in general, on a teaser, you want to move that line through 3 and 7. That's the only time you should really be doing teasers, is when you get a teaser that you're moving those teams through both 3 and 7. So I get 2-point underdogs. I move them all the way up to 8 with 6 extra points. But in order to win the bet, I have to have both hit. If one hits and the other doesn't, I lose that bet completely. So in a 2-game teaser, which is similar odds to a straight up bet, I need both teams to hit, but I get 6 additional points swung my way on both of those teams, if that makes sense.
So you're pretty much just making the line a little bit more beneficial for your favor if you like a certain team. Like if let's say it's too close for you to bet, and it's like 2.5, or like let's say 3. I'm just using this as an example. Let's say I'm like concerned that KC is going to be in a close game, and I want to tease them up 6. So it would be they would get +3 instead. It would go the other way. Then you're feeling really good about it, maybe. So you can make those distinctions, but you do have to pair them together. So it's got to be 2 or more teams, up to however many you want.
Teasers through the 3 and 7 number historically are some of your best and most successful bets you can make. And I have 2 of my 4 best bets are teasers this week.
First time chatter. It's for the man. It's fourth man. Oh, hey, there we go. Welcome in. I just traded Jerry Jeudy for Zay Flowers. I have Diggs, Keenan Allen, and Ayuk. Solid trade. 12-man PPR. I mean, based off of Jerry Jeudy and the injury, I think he's going to be good in Denver. But I mean, Zay Flowers, I think is
obviously, yeah. He was featured. I mean, he was the only one that did really anything for that Baltimore offense in Week 1. But I like Zay a lot more in a PPR than I would a non-PPR, because I think a lot of that's going to be some underneath stuff. Get the ball in his hands, see if he can, what he can do in the open field, work out of the slot a lot. So he's not going to be like you're averaging, 15 plus yards per reception, but he's going to catch a lot of balls. So I don't hate that. The touchdown rates, we'll see what happens. We don't know when Jerry Jeudy is going to return for sure, and then what that offense looks like when Jerry does. I feel like Jerry had some good weeks last year, but a lot of not good weeks as well. He was a little more boom or bust, where Zay might be more consistent for you. Yeah. Obviously, you have some other options though with Diggs, Keenan, and Ayuk, who obviously had a monster Week 1.
And honestly, you're starting those other 3 guys most of the time anyway. You're probably having just Jerry Jeudy, Zay Flowers on your swap in for like a bye week, or for like maybe injuries, things along those lines.
Diggs is obviously starting. Keenan probably is, and then Ayuk. I don't think Ayuk and Zay right now. You got to start Ayuk for sure, but Zay down the road, if he keeps doing what he's doing, might be. I don't know if Ayuk continues to have the game he had last, Week 1, but I love Brandon Ayuk as a player. I just don't know if that offense, and they have so many options with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, and literally, well, Christian McCaffrey had a great game, but Deebo didn't do much. Kittle did nothing, essentially. So it's just hard to predict where San Francisco is going to go every week, weapons-wise.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into this next matchup. We have the Los Angeles Chargers and the Tennessee Titans here. Tennessee Titans hosting the Chargers, and this line has kind of bounced around as well. Chargers are favored by 3. This has been bouncing up to 3.5. I was going back and forth on this one, on whether or not I wanted to make this one of my best bets. Maybe I do it for the pool here. Hey, it's 4th. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. Let's go.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hey, by the way, who's your team and where you're from? We like to get to know you a little bit better. Join our Discord, by the way, if you haven't already. We always have a lot of fun talking about the games in our Discord. But welcome in. Good to have you. ! Discord in the chat, Rec, and we can get him all set up. But thank you for that Twitch Prime. This is bouncing around to 3.5. I like the Titans at 3.5, and I think it's still, maybe it dropped down to 3 and it's stuck at 3. So let me take a look here.
I think there's something wrong with your odds.
No, well, the first. Oh, well, yeah. Sorry, guys, I didn't. That says Miami. It should probably say Tennessee.
Oh, don't worry about the money line stuff. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. I work off of last week's, graphics and just try and adjust. But I missed one.
It happens.
Miami's not playing in this game, I don't think.
I mean, maybe Tyreek comes in and catches a couple balls in a different uniform. No worries. No, this spread is at 3. He wants to get that record, man. He wants to get the record.
He'll definitely get it if he plays in multiple games a week.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really good about that.
All right, guys. So this one is, I think, one of the more interesting games. As weird as it sounds, because Tennessee isn't exactly a team that I like to watch a ton. but I think this game is going to be a little bit closer than people think. I, at one point, when this was 3.5, thought that was probably the way to go. I still think getting points in this one, I think this is going to be kind of a grindy game, just kind of like the other one we were talking about earlier. But Titans have a below average offensive line, aging quarterback. I'm not happy with how Tannehill has been playing, and there's no quarterback on that Tennessee Titans roster that feels great. But I think that they play the Chargers maybe a little bit stronger in this one. And obviously you have really good coaching on the side of the Tennessee Titans with Vrabel. But, I mean, I think if anything, I might lean towards I don't have an official pick on this one, but I might lean towards the under. I think this seems a little high. Is this the right? This is the right line? I think, right? Or I think, what is it set at now?
I'd have to look.
It's actually 45.
Yeah, maybe I didn't fully update this graphic. Apparently, on the bottom line.
What would be the actual spread for this?
This is the actual spread.
The spread's right.
But I think when it comes down to it, I think this might be a one possession game when it's all said and done. I think the Chargers, and Eckler's kind of in a weird spot. He's kind of banged up as always, and he'll probably be kind of a question mark on how effective he can be in this game. And, I think the Tennessee Titans can really slow the ball down by running it a little bit. By the way, they've kind of went a little bit less on Henry and kind of gotten a backup, like a two-headed kind of running role going based off of what they did last week, more so than the single, like just giving the ball to Henry every single play. So I think they're playing around with some different options offensively that I just think this is going to be a slow running game.
Their running backs carry splits were 15-3. I don't know that that was a running back by committee.
Yeah, but I think they're starting to work in the new guy.
I get why no one's excited no one likes watching Tennessee play. I don't think if Tennessee fans like watching Tennessee play. I get it. I don't either. But I think that always makes them a good team to bet on because the public just doesn't like them. They're not interesting.
They're not sexy.
They're boring. Listen, they lost last week.
Thank you for the follow. The trifecta, guys.
The follow after the sub.
The trifecta. Let's go.
Shaq shimmy. Listen, they lost 16-15 on the road in New Orleans last week in a game that Ryan Tannehill played awful. Not saying Ryan Tannehill's good, but 3 picks in that game. In a game you barely lost on the road to a Saints team that is not that they're supposed to be great, but they're the favorite in the crappy NFC South division coming into the season. So you have Derrick Henry, who I think is a very favorable matchup for Tennessee in this one against a Charger defense that I think is going to struggle to stop Derrick Henry. Didn't stop a lot last week in a shootout, obviously, with Miami. But is Tennessee going to be able to do what Miami did? Of course not. They don't have the firepower at all on the outside that Miami does. So I don't have a strong lean. I think the Chargers should win this game. Both teams 0-1. Both teams need it. I think it's going to be close, though. The Chargers love to play close games, so why not do another one here? And this is an early game. Chargers have to travel out, to Nashville for. So historically, they don't play good in that time slot when they're traveling. So there's a lot to make you think maybe Tennessee's the right side here, but it's not. I don't have a full feel on this, and the Chargers are the better team, but we'll see on Sunday, Chris. Both teams need this one. You don't want to start 0-2. No,
absolutely not. And I think the Chargers tend in these close games, they might overthink things a little bit, especially with that coaching staff. That head coach kind of maybe makes some weird plays. By the way, it's Fourth Man, born and raised Chicago sports, dad from Chicago, just hoping for a competitive Bears year with Fields improving. Resided in Kentucky, though. Okay. All right. Love it.
All right.
Well, we have
right.
you're gonna probably like what we have to say about your Bears tonight. So just I mean, I don't know. Is that one of the? I think that might be.
It's
maybe
not one of our games, but it is one of my bets of the week.
Yes. And I almost I had that on my radar, but I didn't go with it. But I like it in a couple of my other contests that I'm doing outside of ActionLab. So, but welcome. I think we got to get you in for some more Bears conversation. We don't have enough Bears fans, I don't think. Tennessee's defense is stout. Ryan Tannehill and that offensive line, though.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not great. All right. So, interesting one here. Going to be close. We'll see if the Titans can maybe pull out an upset.
Bears are definitely winning on Sunday. Milwaukee just said the Bears suck.
Yep. There you go. It's locked.
Done deal.
It's
locked, and Bears just won.
Yep. Hey, I mean, it's
Roger.
inevitable at this point. Dolphins at Patriots. This one is a crazy, interesting one, too, based off of this division rivalry. Dolphins are in New England for this one. Miami, 2.5-point favorites. 46.5 is the over-under. And we have a money line set here, minus 142 for Miami. So they're saying this could be a one-score game when it's all said and done. I think this could be a fascinating game. I would love for New England to come in and maybe make this competitive. I struggle to figure out a way in which the firepower of the Miami Dolphins, if it goes off like it has the explosive nature of going off from a very quick standpoint, Tyreek Hill blows up, or any of these big time plays that have been occurring, I think it's going to be hard for a guy like Mac Jones with a high floor, low ceiling to keep up. So it's going to be relying on the Patriots defense to keep things in check here. But Scotty, what do you think here in this one? In close games like this,
This is. But by the way, this is our Sunday night game, Chris.
This is to be a fun one.
Scotty, this is a good graphic. Nice stuff. Thanks. We all take part in it. Chris had certainly a part in this. Tua is having the time of his life. By the way, Chris, did you see after week 1, Tua is now, at least I think I looked today or yesterday. Tua is tied with Mahomes as the favorite to win the MVP.
Interesting.
Listen, I obviously did great things in week 1. Anyone who's betting on Tua when his odds are only 7.5 to 1, just stop gambling. Just don't do it. I'm not saying he can't even win it, but let's pump the brakes a little bit, okay? Can we calm down on the Tua stuff after week 1? They had weeks like this last year, and while I hate to say it, we got some injury concerns with Tua throughout the year too. So betting him would be, I think, really dumb. I think we're going to see a very different Tua with Bill at the helm of a defense on Sunday night, where not that he won't have a good game or can't be prolific, but it's certainly not like it was in that Chargers game. And I predicted on this stream last Wednesday that Chargers Dolphins game was going to be a back and forth scoring fest, and that's exactly what it was. I don't anticipate. I think the Patriots, obviously division matchup, know them a little better. I think it's going to be a little tighter. Obviously, we only got 2.5 here on the Dolphins on the road. I think the hype right now was super high on Miami. So if I had to pick a side here, I'd probably just lean New England, because I feel like everything's pouring in on Miami. And if it got to 3, I'd probably make a bet on New England. At 2.5, I do think Miami is the better team. I picked them as the number 2 overall seed in the AFC before the season started, Chris. So I like Miami a lot. I just think this is a little bit of a dangerous situation where listen, Bill's not going to let Tyreek go off like he did last week. He's just not going to. I love Tyreek, and I've said he could break the record and get, of Calvin Johnson for most receiving yards in a season. But Bill's not the guy if Tyreek's catching stuff, it's not going to be in single coverage over the top deep. It's going to be underneath, dink and dunk. He's going to prevent him from getting those easy ones over the top. So hopefully we get an entertaining, fun one. I have concerns, obviously, on the other side of New England's offense with Mac Jones, who had so many opportunities late in that game against Philadelphia to go down and score and win that game and just couldn't do it. So I'm still not a believer in Mac Jones, not to mention like the weapons in New England are. I mean, I like Ramondre Stevenson, but like on the outside,
this is hard.
Yeah,
on the outside, I should have a drink of water. I don't love the options to throw to either for Mac Jones or the offensive line. So
and Juju might go in IR now.
well, we'll see. Yeah, there's some injury issues, but I do think that like Bill O'Brien's come in and he's actually kind of, especially in that first game, kind of done a little bit more than what we were getting from last year when it came to defensive coordinators running offensive plays and all these different things. I think there's a better consistency there. And also, too, they played decent defense against Philadelphia, who we consider one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. I know it's week one and there's a lot of I feel like week one is just an extension of the preseason. Like week one, weird things happen. There's a lot of overreactions, a lot of different things happening. And then we start to get back into the swing of things week 2, week 3. And then we're in like a normal, like, we're figuring things out and everything's back to normal. But we'll see if they can continue to play defense at a high level. And then also just Bill O'Brien can maybe elevate Mac a little bit more. I don't know. We'll find out. But I think if I had to choose one side, it would probably be Patriots getting points in a close game. That's a low scoring game. So, all right. So there you go. Dolphins, Patriots. Well, by the way, guys, we will be live Sunday Night Football for this game. So we already have Scott. I think we already have a Patriots fan. Is that correct, Rec?
Yes, we do.
Do we? Is it someone that we know in the community or someone outside that is coming in?
It's not in the community often, but we do know of them, and they do know of us.
Oh, so it's a
pop on every now and then.
What's their
okay?
Do we do a screen name? Do they have a screen name?
Yep.
Do you want to share that?
Is this a secret? What are we doing?
Illogical Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. Okay, all right, that's fair. Okay. Well, we can make that happen, and then we just need do we have a Miami Dolphins fan out there?
We need a Dolphins fan.
I don't think they exist.
Don't they have a good team? Shouldn't we have a
do.
lot of Dolphins fans coming out of the woodwork to like come join in? By the way, guys, if we do not have a Dolphins fan, maybe we can get one of you guys who are interested in just talking about the game.
Keep close says it, Tim.
Keep close. You're a Broncos fan. You're
You kind of specified not reckoning. He's like, bring STG, bring Mauner back. Maunder. LOL. He's a fan of them all.
He's a fan of them all. He could be a fan for
Chris,
anything.
he messaged me. He texted me after that, and he's like, "Hey, I'd love to be on every week." And then I like didn't see it till the next morning, and then I saw another text from him. He's like, "Hey, sorry, that was the drinks talking. I can't do every week, and I'll be happy whenever you guys want me, but like, don't worry about it." I was like, cool, that's cool. He's like, I can't even do it next week. So I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah.
Apparently, he can't do it. Even if I wanted to bring Monder on this Sunday, he has other obligations of some kind.
We'll figure it out.
If you want to make me the Dolphins fan again, go ahead, bet on the Patriots. I'm apparently not good.
And if you're lingering in the background, just hanging out, hit that follow button, and then join our community. And if you have any sort of love for the Dolphins, jump on our stream. We could have you as a part of the fan face-off. Every single Sunday, we do a fan face-off, and we have bingo going. We have 2 fans of the teams, and then we have Scotty and myself running the show. So make sure you guys, if you guys are interested, let us know in our Discord, !Discord in the chat. Next game, we have Seattle, who laid an egg against
the Rams.
The Rams. Yeah, yes. I was like LA. I had the Chargers for a second. Rams. Just absolutely shocked the Seahawks with all of the hype that was coming around the Seahawks and Geno Smith and that defense and the offense. And this is their year. And again, Weird things happen, overreactions happen, but they're coming back. They're trying to bounce back against the Lions team that got that surprise upset against Kansas City on the opening night of the NFL season. And Detroit comes in at home, 5.5-point favorites in this one. Over-under set to 47.5. And then you have Detroit minus 238 to win this one. So this has swung quite a bit. And, when I initially saw this line, I love, especially after week 1, to look at some of the overreactions. Because, I know for a fact some of these games that are just kind of outliers to start the season, which is why my initial hunch was plus points with Seattle on the road, knowing that they're going to bounce back, knowing they have a decent running game, knowing that they have a okay defense. It's an average defense at best, and then they have a really good offense. So they've improved a little bit here and there, and I feel like they're going to keep things close. They're going to bounce back. Geno's going to have a better week. Pete Carroll's going to have them in a better rhythm and have them ready to play. But Scotty, what are your thoughts on this one?
I have a tough time with this one. I think probably prior to week 1, this was a lot closer to around a field goal look ahead, if I had to guess. With Detroit being favored, it moves to 5.5 after week 1. Obviously, Seattle didn't look good. My lean here is the public's probably on Detroit's side after watching them beat Kansas City and Kansas City week 1. You see Seattle at home just lay a complete A against a Rams team that no one's high on, at least wasn't coming into the season. And part of me is I'd love to make a bet on Seattle, but as STG talked about, they Seattle might be without both their starting tackles who are injured right now. That was the big
thing that I'm worried about too.
I don't know if you can really recover from that. Again, I don't like taking 1-0 favorites at home against 0-1 teams that were supposed to be pretty decent. So I can't be on the Lions side even despite that. So I don't have a strong feel in this one. Obviously the Lions look like a very good team and are going to win. Is Chairman in here? Where's Chairman at?
Not to mention, too, this is their home opener. This is the biggest home opener they've had probably in a long time.
Those fans are going to be rabid. It's
gonna be crazy. Maybe Chairman's he's resting up for this week. He's going to the game. But yeah, that's the one thing that I stayed off of this game as well. I struggle to think that the Lions are gonna come out in that atmosphere with this head coach that is a really good motivator of these Detroit Lions players. I don't know. Seattle also, it's the dreaded 10 a.m. Pacific kickoff as well. So it's the traveling with this one mixed in. There's a lot of weird things that do I think the Seattle bounces back? Yes. Do I think it's not a really great bounce back spot? Yes. I believe everything to be true and everything is not true. And I stayed off of it.
Cuban, his power went out. I'm like, damn, again? Come on, Detroit. Figure it out. That power grid down there is struggling.
Cuban, you nailed it. Yeah, 100%. He's in the dark right now. He's got candles lit all over his house. Poor Chairman. Don't watch the VOD later, Chairman. Anything else on this one?
No.
Okay. On to the next. Oh, here we go. I don't know if
I'll take a break.
Yeah. You want to take a code yellow on this one, Scotty? I'll just run through this one.
This wouldn't be one of our featured games if we didn't have to feature the Broncos every week. But if we didn't take,
you have to give me some love here. You have to give me some love on this Broncos.
Do we have to?
We have to.
Did someone say Battle of Mid?
The Battle of
Mid. Is this even the Battle of Mid?
It might just be the Battle of Bad.
It could be. I don't know.
Ballad of Bad.
It might be a little bit of both. It might be a little bit of both. Because both these teams, are these the Spider-Man memes? Is this the Spider-Man meme? Pointing at each other? Both these teams are the same? Weirdly enough, they're kind of
one team at least has a young quarterback that could maybe do something in the future.
Well, probably not.
but still maybe.
No, and by the way, I didn't like. I was watching some of that Washington game. I did not like how Sam Howell looked in some of those early on sequences, and I don't know if I'm sold on him quite a bit here. I think I don't have a best bet in this one. If I had any bet, I think that I would lean towards Broncos in this one, knowing that they have a little bit more momentum after like just one game of getting some of the kinks out, some of the bad plays. Now, there were some things. The red zone offense was a little bit better, I will say. Based off of last year, it was similar, very eerily similar to that first game last year, though. Like the amount of points scored, the way they played. But the difference was the red zone offense actually put the ball in the end zone a couple times where, Russ was able to sling it on the back right corner of the end zone a couple times in this game, where I didn't see that happening last year consistently. And I think that there are some steps that the Broncos are going to take. I think that we're not going to start off the game with an onside kick and put ourselves back in this one a touchdown off the bat.
On local radio, I heard Jake Plummer say today, he was being interviewed, that he'd run it back.
He would run it back. Just do it again.
Do an onside kick to start the game again.
Jake, I love you.
He might have been doing some ayahuasca or something.
He must. I love you, Jake. He's hippie status, and he's off. I think he lived in a trailer in the woods somewhere.
He was driving out to his farm. True story. He has a farm.
Probably.
He's driving out to. Not even joking.
So in the chat, these Gutswiller.
These Gutswiller. Hey, welcome in. Who's your team and where you're from? DJ Moore, over under 12 fantasy points this week.
It's hard to go over right now.
I would say the under off top of my head, but like
Chicago plays Tampa, and he didn't get targets in week 1. It's hard to get 12 points when you don't get targets.
That's the big thing. Oh, Colts. Okay. All right. Let's go. I mean, how do you feel about your new QB, your young quarterback there out in Indy?
For being supposed to be the most raw guy ever, he looked pretty good week 1, Chris.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Jags and how they hung with the Jags, and the Jags were supposed to be one of those big, top teams of the NFL this year, and they hung with a rookie quarterback. So big ups. I like it. So yeah, going back to this one, I just don't believe. I think the Denver Broncos defense is going to be better than the Commanders offense, and I don't think the Commanders will be able to move the ball as much. I think the defense here is what wins the game for the Broncos. I don't want to touch this line. I'm terrified of this line. If you held the gun to my head and said pick a line, I would probably pick Denver minus 3.5, thinking that they could probably get, ahead by a touchdown and kind of just grind this one out and hold the Commanders to a low output. I mean, the over-under in this one's 39. So it's not going to be a
lowest of the week.
it's going to be the lowest. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that love. My man. Thank you for being a part of the stream. We're going to get to the fantasy stuff here in a little bit. We're almost done with our preview. So, and we're going to probably talk about a couple teams that aren't on our preview here. So just hang with us. We have a lot of show left, and we have our best bets at the end of the night. Scotty, go ahead.
This was close to a best bet for me, Chris. But I was almost just going to run it back like I did last week. By the way, again, you owe me a $50 bottle. We'll figure that out.
Talk about that.
Of whiskey that I can't wait to indulge on stream.
You're going to let me have some too.
You reference, you're like, well, I just think the Denver defense is better than the Washington offense, while completely ignoring the fact that the Washington defense is probably better than the Denver offense as well. So, and if I'm looking at weapons on the, throw to and get involved in, I like Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson a lot more than I do who for Denver?
Cortland Sutton. Is he still
Cortland Sutton and the ghost of Cortland Sutton, and now you're without your pass catching tight end and Dulcich for it seems like an extended amount of time, probably. Marvin Mims he wasn't like a huge factor, didn't get a ton of snaps in week 1. A rookie that they drafted out of Oklahoma. Maybe he's a guy that gets more run in week 2. In this game, the Commanders going into the season felt, I don't know, when you were ranking the Commanders versus the Raiders, who did you think was the better team? Or were they just around similar?
They were around similar.
Okay.
Like I'm not high on either one.
Raiders came in and won in Denver last week, but now you'd rather take Denver minus 3.5 against a Washington team. I don't know. I didn't end up pulling the trigger on this one. Maybe Sean Payton has like his emotional that just motivates the squad, but like we kind of talked about this before, but like it was painful watching Russ throw like 4 yards all game last week. Like
it's an issue. Yeah, and that's why
they had 6 offensive possessions in that game on I think both sides for both teams, or maybe the Raiders had 7 because they closed with the ball, and it was just like. But then Denver led in time of possession last week. They had 6 possessions that lasted 32 minutes. That's almost impossible because it was just 3 yards at a time, 4 yards at a time.
Yeah,
it's really hard to score and maintain drives where you're only getting small chunk after small chunk. You can't have minus plays. You can't have a lot of factors go into that. So I don't know. I think this game's going to be pretty close. I'd go Commanders. Just this feels like a close game. Or give me the 3.5 and in a low total that's not going to put up a lot of points. Give me the 3.5. But
yeah,
on the Commanders side.
And I think here too. I mean, I think that the secondary gets kind of clogged up. I mean, Devontae Adams last week. I mean, I wouldn't say Pat Surtain shut him down, but he only had 6 receptions for 66 yards. And it was like, from Devontae Adams standards, that's kind of not a great output, right? So I'll take Pat Surtain on one of those top receivers for Washington, let the secondary take care of, the rest, right? So I don't.
But the problem is the secondary for Denver didn't take care of the rest last week.
Yeah, and then the issue with the offense being so slow and under passes every single time is the fact that points are at a premium. So if you go down and you miss a field goal, that's so brutal for an offense that took so much time off the clock to come up empty-handed. So that's the Broncos really the Achilles heel of how they play right now is you're playing slow, and if you don't score and you're not good enough to punch it in at the end, you're in a rough spot. So I don't love how their offense performs.
I've found the narrative surprising in Denver this week that they've kind of a lot of the radio talk has been about blaming Will Lutz.
No, it's still
which look, he missed an extra point. Can't have that happen. His field goal he missed was a 55-yarder. It's not exactly a chip shot by any stretch of the imagination, and it was on a drive where it was 10 plays, 37 yards for the Broncos. It was a 10-play, 37-yard drive that ended up in a missed 55-yard field goal. So I don't know. And everyone's like, yeah, but if they would have made that field goal, they would have won. Well, the Raiders were in field goal position at the end of the game and just sat on it. So I don't, obviously they got problems at the kicker position that they kind of self-inflicted and created, but I don't think it's fair to blame the kicker.
No, I think
for the loss last week. He needs to be better, no doubt about it. But there's a lot of blame to go around.
Well, and on Sunday, I was the most frustrated with the fact that after a 1-game sample size into this 2023-2024 season, 1-game sample size, the problem's Russ. Like the problem is Russ, because basically, if you're talking about a Sean Payton who is very good at putting a game plan in place that can be executed by the quarterback, and that's the game plan you put in place without throwing the ball downfield, that's pretty much telling me he's only giving him plays that he can do. And if that's all he can do, I'm worried. I'm worried for this season.
As a Chiefs fan in game 1, he looked to me like a poor man's Alex Smith.
It's at this point for me.
Poor man's Alex Smith.
Until you prove me wrong, right now it's the problems Russ and and Sean Payton may need to, if this keeps moving forward the way it is, make some moves.
And obviously you don't have a lot of influx of young talent because you traded away a lot of draft picks for Russ, and then you traded a first rounder away for Sean Payton.
Yep.
So, there just hasn't been a lot of like influx of young talent the last few years or the last 2 years at least, because of those trades.
Hackett won. By the way, we didn't talk about the Jets on this because obviously the Jets are in a weird spot. But I want to talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers for a little bit because if we missed your team, go ahead. By the way, we actually have we'll talk about the Bears game here in a little bit when we get into our best bets. So I want to talk a little bit about the Bears because I think that's an interesting one. You have a best bet. I recall you guys saying last week that Peyton would be the one at the GM. The GM, Peyton. There's if there's anybody that's going to be on the chopping block, the coach isn't going to be the one.
Is very stinky. As Broncos fan, after every game I look at bridges, trees on the drive home, and the bleach under the sink differently.
Jeez.
Bruh. Oh, there you go, Keith. Well, thank you for the bit. Thank you for the message. Appreciate that. We had some news on Monday night that we didn't get to touch, Scotty, and that was because we're not live Mondays, and we, hit it back on Wednesdays, and we recap a little bit of what went down on the Monday nighter. But we had a massive injury. I don't mean to laugh because I feel so bad for Jets. Jets fans are cursed. And what did I say? One of my predictions, by the way, preseason. My predictions preseason have not been that off. I called. Well, we'll figure out my Chiefs prediction that I posted to YouTube, but I predicted that the something, and not to this extent, I didn't think it would go this way, but I was like, the Jets are like the Mets. Something's going to go wrong and something crazy is going to happen to the point where it's like their season is going to unravel unexpectedly, and they're going to have a great roster going into the season, and it's going to unravel. Something bad's going to happen, and it's going to just fall apart. And did I think it was going to happen after week one, Scotty? No, I didn't think it was going to happen after week one, but you have a torn Achilles for Aaron Rodgers. And I didn't know, I was thinking about Jets fans. I was like, how do I feel if I'm a Jets fan? Because, you won the game. You're kind of still in that process of, well, maybe there's hope, but, there's no hope. And there's, why did we win this? I would have rather have lost the game 38-0, knowing that I could just go home and relax the rest of the season. I know I have nothing to root for. I could just be satisfied with the outcome and this is it. I can accept what's happening here. But they won the game against the Bills, and it's well, maybe we can win a game with that, and it's not going to happen. But it's just keep close. Chris has been shockingly accurate this far. I
focus on the word shockingly. No, I'm just kidding.
Bruh.
I have been maybe I need to make these predictions. Maybe I'm just jinxing everybody. I don't know what it is, but
all your predictions that are coming true are injuries, Chris. That's messed up.
Can you please talk about how Deshaun Watson's not going to do anything?
I could. But Scotty, it's insane. It's 4 plays in. The memes are insane on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, 5 snaps all year for Aaron Rodgers. That's all we get. That's all
4
we
on
get.
the field and 1 in his foot.
Well, yeah, correct. Yeah, thanks, Rec. Thanks a lot. Didn't need to deliver that for me. Yes, 4 snaps on the field.
Oh,
on 1 snap in his.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, we're we didn't adjust everything.
No, this is bad. This is really bad.
And now you're hiding Sky behind Discord.
We have to adjust everything.
Chris, you and I both didn't pick the Jets to make the playoffs, even with the knowledge of Rodgers. You win in wild fashion, big assist to Josh Allen in that win. No offense to the Jets, and their defense played really well. But Josh Allen lost his damn mind in that game. Like, the only way Buffalo was losing that game is if Josh Allen did the dumb shit that he ended up doing. Like, 3 picks, 1 fumble, kind of 2 fumbles on one play, actually. Like, fumbled the snap, picked it up, then fumbled again. He was awful. Jets win an OT on a punt return touchdown. Happy for them. It's just like it's already over. It's already over. Like, Zach Wilson isn't it, and there's no one they're gonna pick up that's gonna turn this around. There's no one. So
they could pick up
the Jets can live in a world where they maybe think like, hey, if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, we were Super Bowl champs. That's how good our defense is.
It's the what ifs though. Like, as a Jets fan, you're like, man, and I mean, you're thinking to yourself, what if that, like, we had that caliber of a quarterback all season long? Not to mention, this affects Green Bay. Green Bay was like in a weird spot where they were happy but sad, but because like they lost out, that Aaron Rodgers needed to get a handful of snaps under his belt this season to make sure that they get a first round draft